Hi everyone, welcome to day 17 of my 100 days challenge. Today we'll be solving one of the SQL question asked in Google Data Analyst interview. So let's see the question. So the question is, you are given below Google employee table with user ID, activity as login and logout and activity time. Write a SQL query to get each employee total productivity hour. Now we have a table with three columns. First column has user ID, second column has the activity which has login and logout, and the third column has the timestamp which is login time and the logout time. We need to find out each employee and their productivity hour. So the productivity hour is going to be logout time minus the login time. So let's say if the employee login at 9 a.m. and log out at 11 a.m. so the productivity hour is going to be 2 hours. So let's go into PG admin 4 where I have already created table and inserted this data, and we will solve this question today. So let's open the PG admin 4. Now we have three columns of this table which is user ID and their activity and their activity time. So in the user ID you can see we have same user ID login and logout multiple times, and we have their activity recorded like it is login or logout, and we have the activity timestamp with the time and the date. So let's start writing our query to solve this question. So I'm going to use a window function called lag today to solve this question, because we need to find out each employee their login time, and then I need to find out each employee their logout time. Then I'm going to use logout minus login. So let's first go ahead and say that I need this column which is activity time, and I'm going to use the window functions here. So here for this user I want to find out all the activity time which is this one, but one activity to the earlier activity. So I'm going to use a window functions lag here for this column which is activity time to get the previous activity. So I'm going to say lag, and I'm going to use on this column which is called activity time and over. So this is a window function syntax. You say lag and on which column you want lag, and then you are saying over. So I'm saying over, and here I will do a partition by user ID because I want to find each based on each user their previous activity. So partition by this column which is user ID, and I want to do order by time in ascending, so the smallest time come first. So order by this activity time. So that is what I need here, and I'm going to save it as a previous activity. Okay, so this is going to create a new column, and that is going to give me the previous time for this employee. Like for this employee it will try to find out the previous time, like the previous cell or record, but it doesn't have any previous row, right? So we'll have null. But for this one we will have the previous record time, which is going to be this one, correct? So that is what I'm trying to do here. And next I will use one more window functions, so that is going to be the same, but here I will use another window functions for this column which is called activity column, and here I will try to find out the previous activity. So for the login, previous activity is going to be null because we don't have the previous row record, but for this record which is logout, the previous activity is going to be login. So I'm going to again use here in this time I'm going to use the lag functions on this column, and this one I'm going to name it call this one. Earlier one I'm going to name it call previous activity time. This one I'm going to name it call just previous activity. Okay, so let me run this query and let's see how it's going to create a new column. Okay, now I will explain this same thing in Excel so that you don't get confused. Now I have added extra comma, so let me delete that. Now you can see we have two new column which is called activity time and the previous activity. Okay, so let me just now show you in Excel now how this window function is working. So here what I'm doing, I'm basically creating a new column for using this column using lag functions. Okay, like here, and so lag functions usually what it does, it will get me the previous record. So here for this line, for this row I will try to get the previous row record. So here we don't have any previous record, so I will be getting null. Okay, now for this row it is going to try to get the one row above a record, so we will get login. So here we will get login. Okay, similarly if I just delete all of them, now it's going to be user by user because I have done a partition by each user. So for first user it is going to follow for this record. For this row which is third row, we will try to find out this logout because this is the one row above, right? So we will say logout. Okay, now for this one again, so that's going to be again this one which is going to be login, so it's going to get login. Okay, now this will ensure first the data is ordered by this activity time, that it is going to do this lag functions to create this window function. So same it is going to do for the second user and the third user. First it is going to order the data in ascending by the time, and then it is going to print the number like this. And if I use another lag functions on this column, so here this column, the previous activity is going to be null, right, for this user. So we will have null here, and here we will have this, right, this time. So we will have this time here, here we will have this time, okay, and here we will have this time, okay, and here we will have, so here we will have this time. This is how lag is used to create a new window where you get the previous one row above record. Now you can define it 2 row above record. So for that you just need to define it something like this, okay. So I can just give a comma, and if I just give 2, now you will see that I will have 2 null, okay. Let me just show you. Now you can see I'm having 2 null, because the reason is that here for this login activity, so now you can see for this column I'm using the lag functions here, you can see, okay. So it will, for here it will try to find the previous 2 record, so it doesn't exist. Here again it doesn't exist, but for this row we have, this is the previous 2 record, right, previous, the 2 record above 1. So this is going to be the 2 record above. Now for this one is going to be this one, okay. For this one is going to be, again for this one is going to be null, for this one is going to be null, for this one is going to be this one, okay. Now you can define it, it's 1, by default it is 1, or if you need 2 row above the record, then you can give just comma and the parameters here, okay. So this is how we can use window functions. So now you can see I have used the window functions to create this 2 column. Now this 2 column, using this 2 column we can solve this problem, okay. So let's see how. So now you can see here, one thing I can tell that here, let me just first run this one again. So now I can see here, this is my first login for this user. See, now the data is organized by the time. So for this user, this is my first login, which is at 8 AM, and that the date is the 1st January 2024, okay. So this is the login time, and the first logout time for this user ID 1 is going to be this, right. So in the same line, now they are in the same line, okay, and that is 12 PM. So we can minus this login from this logout, right. We will get the productivity hour. Now we have one more login here, that is going to be this one, which is 1 PM, and for 1 PM the logout time you can see that is here, which is 17, right. So that means 4-hour productivity here, and here as well also you can see login at 8 and logout at 12. So total 4-hour productivity here and 4-hour productivity here, okay. And now I'm going to use this table to find the solution. So I'm going to store this table data in a CT, and I'm going to name it called maybe login logout table, okay, login logout table. Now you can give any name. So login logout table, and inside this I'm going to put this data, okay. Now from this table I'm going to select what? I'm going to select the user ID, okay. So I'm going to select user ID, okay, and I'm going to select this activity, okay, and I'm going to select this activity time, so activity time, okay, and I will be selecting this 2 column, which is previous time and previous activity. So previous time and previous activity, okay. Now from where I'm selecting, from this logout and login table CD, okay. Now let me run this query, okay, let me run this query. I will have the same result, then we will see. Now I'm having the same result, okay. Now I will just organize this data, okay. Now I'm going to first select this previous activity here, okay. After this user ID I will select it here, okay, previous activity time, okay, and then I would select the activity and the activity time. So let me just run it again, okay. So here I can say one thing, I need all this data where this previous activity is a login, okay, and this activity as logout, okay. Now why? If I say this previous activity is a login, okay, I will have this null filter out, okay, first of all, okay. Then I will have this login data. For this user you can see I will have this login data, because here this previous activity is a login and this activity is a logout, okay. So login time you can see here, because the data is ordered by the time ascending. So you can see the previous activity, possible activity, that is 8 AM, logout time which is for the same day, and that is here 12, right. So similarly, I will not have this record here, okay, but I will have this record, which is because this record has the login time, which is 1, and the logout time, that is going to be 7. Okay, so for this employee I will have 2 records. So because if you remember the original table, in the original table this employee has 4 record. Okay, now out of 4, 2 are login. You can see this employee has 4 records. So one is login, one is logout, another one is login, another one is logout. So what we have done, we have just reorganized the data using this CTE, and we have created using leg functions. We have just created new columns. Okay, so what I can do, I can just name this previous activity. Okay, so I can name this previous activity as login. Okay, and this one I can name it as login time. So next one I can call it logout, and next column I can call it logout time. Okay, so let me now run this again. Okay, I will have the same result but with nice column name. Okay, so let me select again. Okay, I missed a comma here, so let me run it again. Now you can see I have the same table. So this column means, you can see I am creating using this logout column, which is my activity column. So using the activity column, I am trying to find out the earlier one row record. So for this user, earlier one row record for this row, it doesn't exist, right? So I am getting null. But here the earlier record is login. So I'm getting login here, correct? So here earlier record is logout. So I'm getting the logout here. Now here earlier record is login. I'm getting the login here. So I am just trying to now filter out by this column, where I will filter out the data by login, and this column I will filter out the data by logout. So all the login time I will have it here for this user, and all the logout time I will have it here. So what I can simply say here, where login equals login. Okay, now I cannot use the login name, but I'm going to just say login, and I can use this column name, the actual column name that we have created using window functions. Okay, so previous activity equals login, and I can simply say 2 conditions I want to be true for each row. So for this row, 2 conditions would be true. Here I want login, here I want logout. So I will be selecting this row, and I will not select this one because this one doesn't fulfill our conditions, but it's going to select this one. Okay, what we want. So here I will say that again, activity equals logout. Okay, now if I run this query, I will left with all the users and their login time in the left side and the logout time in the right side. So let me run and show you. Okay, so it has to be capital, it has to be also capital. Okay, logout, login. So let's now run it again. All right, now you can see we have user 1. User 1 has 2 punch in, which is 2 login and 2 logout, which is perfect. User 2, we have 2 login and 2 logout, and user 3 only 1 login and 1 logout. Okay, now to find the productivity from this logout time, you can simply minus this login time, right? That is how we will have the productivity. So I can use epoch function here to find the productivity in hours. So first of all, let me show you. If I just simply go ahead and say that here, maybe logout time. So I need logout time minus login time. So that's going to be login time. This one is the login time. Okay, so if I just run this query, this is going to give me the time difference between both of this login and logout. Now you can see for each time difference, I can see it here, right? So this is the interval data. So I need the data in hour. So I am going to use the epoch functions here. Now if you do not know epoch, I'm going to show you how to use epoch. So I'm going to say extract epoch from, and I will be just simply copying this one. Okay, here inside a brackets. Okay, now this is going to get me the time difference between this and this in seconds, this epoch functions. Okay, and that is going to give me the data in integer. Now I'm going to divide that using 3600 because I want to convert the seconds in hour. So that is going to give me the productivity difference between this logout and login time. So I'm just going to save it, called productivity hour. Okay, So now if I just run this query from here to here, so let's see. Now you can see we have user ID, login time, which is here, and logout and logout time here, and their difference. Now you can verify one. See, login for user ID 1, the earliest login, which is at 8 a.m. on 1st January 2024, and the logout time is at 12 and the same day. Now you can see the difference, which is 4 hour. Okay. Now the data is in numeric format. Similarly, for this one, you can see for user ID 2, again login at 1, which is same day, 1st January 2024, and the logout at 5. So the productivity hour is again here 4 hours, right? So this is correct. We can verify for 3 as well. Only one login, which is at 8:30, and logout at which is in the same day, and that is 12:30. So productivity hour is 4 hour. Now we have this, for this user we have 2 login and 2 logout, so we can simply sum this productivity hour, right? 4 hour and 4 hour is going to be 8 hour productivity for this user, and for this user again 2, so it's going to be 2 and 4, 6 hour, and for this user 4 hour, right? So I can simply save this data in another CTE, and then I can simply do a group by this, and just sum this productivity hour. Okay, so what I can do is here I'm going to save it called new CTE. So I will name it call session table. Okay, as I have already created a city, so I will not need to define this with again. I can simply give a comma after this first city, and I can simply give a name and s, and inside this parenthesis I can put my second table query, like all this query, and that is going to create a new table called session. Okay, now from this session table I can select the user ID, because I need the user ID, and I can select it here, select user ID, and I need sum of this productivity hour, right? So sum of this productivity hour, and from which table? From this session table. So if I now run this query, I will have my answer. So I just need to do a group by this user ID. So I would say group by user ID. Okay, now let me just run this query and we will have our answer. So let's continue and select everything from the beginning. Now you can see for each users we have summed up their productivity. So first users 1, the productivity is 8 hours. Second users, which is user ID 2, productivity is 6 hours, and the third user, which is user ID 3, and the productivity is 4 hour. So that is how I have solved this question today. Now I can show you what this epoch function does. So I'm just going to select current time. So this current time functions return timestamp. This current time stamp functions return the system timestamp from the computer. You can see now this is the time and this is the date. So this is what it is returning from the system, right? So I can minus from this current time, I can minus maybe 1 p.m. okay, of today. So I will just have to write the date first, which is going to be 2024, and that's going to be 7, which is month, and 30, which is the day, and I just need to write the hour. So maybe I want to minus 13 o'clock from this current time. Okay, so 13, and that is the hour, and the second and everything I want 00. Okay, so if I just minus current time minus this, so I will have the difference, time difference, right, from this and this, correct? But I just need to convert this into timestamp. So using numeric I can just convert it into timestamp. So you can see it will give me the difference between these two time. Okay, so let me just check. Select current time minus, so let's just verify it. Okay, I cannot use some dash, so there is a issue. I need to use colon. Okay, now let me just run it again. Now I can see I have the time difference, because now it is 5:53, and you can see the time difference, which is from 1 p.m. so it's going to be 4 hours 53 minutes 49 seconds. Okay, so now let's say I want to convert into hours. See, the data is now in interval, right? So we want to convert this into hours. So what I can do, I can use the epoch function. So I just need to say extract using the extract functions and put this in a bracket, and outside this extract I can just write another bracket and put epoch, epoch, epoch from this time difference. Okay, now I will just have to close my bracket here. So if I now run this query, what this function is going to do is that this function is returning the time difference between these two time, and this epoch is going to get the second, okay, the time difference in seconds instead of getting it in interval, and then we can divide it by 36, which is 3600. That is going to be convert the second into hour. 1 hour means 60 minutes and 60 seconds, which is 60 into 60. That's going to be 3600. Okay, so now I can see we have 17,686 in time difference, which is kind of in second. So I can just divide it by 36 here, which is going to be 60 into 60. That means 3600. So that is going to convert this second into hours. Now the hour difference is 4.9. So that is true, because from 1 p.m. it's going to be almost 7, is going to be almost 6. So the difference is going to be 4.9, which is almost 5 hours. Okay, so this is how the post function is useful when you are trying to find the time difference. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. And if you really like my content, do subscribe to my channel and do like the video. Also share your approach in the comment box. Now you can go to the video descriptions and you can download this dataset from my GitHub by just clicking the link. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.